Hi, my name is Tyler Lukash, and I'm here to present to you the non-existing problem with guns. We lose 8 children and teenagers to gun violence every day. If a mysterious virus suddenly started killing 8 of our children every day, America would mobilize doctors and public health officials. We would move heaven and earth until we found a way to protect our children, but not with gun violence. Elizabeth Warren, A Fighting Chance. Although this quote in today's media may make you think that we have a huge problem with guns here in America, that is factually untrue, and I want to show you why. Starting with some common misbeliefs about firearms, let's talk about background checks. There are a great amount of people who believe that it is so easy to get a gun when this just isn't the case. Although every state has different laws when it comes to waiting periods and such, every single state you buy a gun, you must go through a background check when buying from a licensed firearm dealer. Now, some people may like to bring up the gun show loophole. This is a loophole that supposedly states that I should be able to walk into a gun show, purchase a firearm, and leave without ever having to do a background check. But the truth is, there is no gun show loophole. Since 1994, federal law has required dealers to initiate a background check before selling or otherwise transferring a firearm, whether at a gun show or anywhere else. So, now that we know that everybody must go through a background check when purchasing a firearm, the real question becomes, who needs assault rifles? When it comes to bigger guns, especially like the AR-15, a lot of people look at it and think, why does anybody need this gun besides to kill people? When, in reality, the AR-15 is actually a popular choice for small game hunting. Now, to make this perfectly clear, nobody in the United States is allowed to have a fully automatic assault rifle unless they have a Class 3 license. So not only is the AR-15 and all other rifles sold in the US semi-automatic only, but the AR-15 isn't even the best gun for shooting rapidly. This is a picture of an AR-15 and a lever-action .357 rifle. Now, without any prior gun knowledge, most people would say that the AR-15 looks the most deadly, simply because it is black and tactical looking, compared to a more wooden lever action. But not all is as it seems, as the lever action can be just as deadly.
Stand by.
This example may seem extreme, as the man in this video has clearly had a lot of time to practice and shoot this fast. But the point is that you never hear anybody asking to ban the lever-action .357 rifle. And why is this? Well, simply because it doesn't look as intimidating or as scary as a scary tactical rifle that the media outlets like to show to you. When it comes to mass shootings, the media always likes to bring up mass shootings to prove their stance on guns. However, they don't show you every case. As many may remember the Las Vegas shooting and how tragic that was, nobody seems to remember a different outcome with a different shooting. The Sutherland Springs church shooting killed 26 people and injured 20 others, and is the deadliest shooting in Texas, and the 5th deadliest shooting in the US. And yet, nobody seems to have heard about it, nor have reported on it. But why is this? Well, this is because the shooter was stopped by a licensed civilian with an AR-15 of his own, Stephen Williford, which to news outlets doesn't look good when talking about banning firearms. Though these are some great examples of common misbeliefs that people think they know about guns, why do we actually need guns? The Second Amendment reads as follows: a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Some people think that all this means is that everybody is allowed to own a gun in the US, unless your rights have been previously revoked due to crimes. However, this is only part of the real reason the Second Amendment exists. Since we fled a tyrannical government ourselves, the Founding Fathers knew just how easy it was for the government to turn on the people. So knowing this, our Founding Fathers gave us the militia, the ability to own firearms in order to protect ourselves from both internal and external threats, whether it be other countries or our own. Some may say, well, how do we know that they meant the American people have the right to bear arms instead of a well-trained militia? Well, besides reading it for yourself, there are numerous quotes from the Founding Fathers that say so. I cannot read through all of them while I am short on time, but I encourage you to pause the video and read some of these for yourself. Besides this, how do we know that the Founding Fathers didn't just mean firearms from their time? As how could they have possibly have conceived of all the technology that we have today? Well, assault rifles, along with other weapons, already existed in the time of the Founding Fathers. The Belton flintlock, shown on the left-hand side of the screen, was made in the time of the Revolutionary War. It could fire 20 or so rounds in the pull of one trigger in about 5 seconds. The Girandoni air rifle, shown in the top right-hand corner of the screen, had a 22 high-capacity round magazine and could be fired in about 30 seconds. And even the pepperbox revolver, shown in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, could hold over 20 rounds and were developed hundreds of years before the Constitution. But not only did the Second Amendment apply to guns, but full-on artillery as well. This is a letter of marque and reprisal signed by James Madison himself. What this letter is basically showing us is that not only did the Second Amendment apply to firearms in the time of the Founding Fathers, but it applied to cannons on their ships as well. So now we know for a fact that the Second Amendment was made for the American people to have guns, and why that is. But what should we do about the problem with gun violence that we face today? The truth is, when it comes to gun violence in America, is that we're actually doing a lot better than most would like to have you believe. The amount of deaths thanks to firearms in 2015 was over 36,000. However, this number is drastically reduced to around 11,000 when you take away the suicides. But even with the suicides included, the amount of deaths are still lower than the total amount of deaths due to motor vehicles in the same year, which was around 37,000. This means that when looking at the amount of lives saved from firearms compared to the amount of deaths, the difference is astounding. This is a quote by the CDC, which again I will not go through because I am short on time, but it is simply stating that there are 500,000 to more than 3 million people per year that are saved thanks to the use of firearms, compared to, once again, only 36,252 deaths. Now that we have shown that there is a greater number of lives saved thanks to guns compared to those lost, we must now address the issue of violent crime altogether. What many media outlets will try to do and convince you that guns are bad is that they will show you our firearm deaths in the US compared to other countries. Most of the time our deaths will be higher, but of course they would be higher. We have more gun owners and more people overall here. What you should really compare is the overall violent crime rates. If you were to compare the two, the point is that which can be tricky when comparing different countries, but I digress. The point is that when looking at violent crime rates, they are significantly lower than they were even in 2008. This quote by the FBI proves that our violent crime rates haven't actually shot up recently because of guns. In fact, according to the FBI, our crime rates from last year, 2017, are 10.6% lower than the crime rates from 2008. These violent crimes include murder, non-negligent manslaughter, rape, robbery, and aggravated assault. In conclusion, I don't believe that we have a gun problem here in the US. And honestly, I feel everyone should be able to choose for themselves whether or not they want to own a firearm. I can completely understand where people are coming from when you see all of these mass shootings presented to you by the media. But the problem is that many people see this and think that we need to take away guns, when this isn't the solution to the problem. I don't think people realize that we are already doing everything we can for the most part to prevent people like this from getting firearms. But sometimes people fall through the cracks. The fact is that there are bad people out there, and we can't stop them from committing these heinous acts, no matter how hard we try. When it comes to background checks, the Second Amendment, and even statistics, they all point towards guns being the good in America. Overall, I would encourage all of you to go through the process of trying to buy a firearm, even if you just want to return it, just so you can find out for yourself how the process works. Finally, I think that if there's anything you should take away from this, it is to question what you see on social media. Instead, look into the subject for yourself and make your own conclusions, as there is much more information here that I didn't even get a chance to say. Thank you.